Alright, we live with props in the building by the pool. Thank you for letting me come through, bro.
No problem, bro. What's up?
Alright, so, first question I got for you, bro. Where did the name props come from?
The name props came from through rapping. I would say more on the lines of street battling, you know, and just so after a while, it was just people were like, yo, I gotta give you your props, you know what I mean? So at that point in time, it was pretty trending in the lingo too, you know? So I just took it and ran with it.
Alright, so how long has it been since you've been street battling? You started off street battling?
I would say, yeah. I would say, well, not street battling, I would say we're just getting involved in street ciphers. And then, you know, meeting a lot of rappers, you buck a lot of egos. You know, egos turn into competition. You know, that competitiveness comes out of you, and when you all about rapping and battling and stuff like that, it comes out. So, in turn, people just, you know, I met challenges along the way. People challenged me to battle rapping, so it became more of a hobby.
So, what you find is the difference between battle rapping and actual songwriting?
I wouldn't say there's a vast difference, but it's I would say, well, it depends on what type of battling you're doing. You know, there's so much different styles of battling, to where people battle over instrumentals, people battle a cappella now, which is more the modern style. But in terms of the modern style battling, there's a lot more writing involved, I would say, in terms of making music or making tracks. But I would say the easiest part would be making the music, because you get to go in the studio and, you know, you get to do so much takes until you get it right. But in that battle aspect, you getting in front of people, you getting the rounds, you could possibly mess up, you know, you could choke, you know, and some people go into battling unprepared, which is, you know, could be another setback for you. But that's the challenges, and that's the difference between with the battle rapping and the rapping.
So, touching back on that battle rap, how do you deal with that pressure to say not forget your rhymes, to stay in that zone, kill your opponent?
Preparation. Preparation is key. Preparation, that's the advantage you could have over your opponent, is always being prepared to cover all angles. You know, I try my best to cover all angles. I would say my strong point is on the spot and rebuttaling. But to handle all the pressure is pretty much the preparation. Make sure you're getting your schemes together. Make sure the battles hit. Make sure the bars hit when you need them to hit. You know, getting your timing down back. And just, like I said, just being prepared to wing it if the moment presents itself.
So, how long you been an artist now?
I would like to say I've been rapping from I was like about 13. So I would say, it's going on over 15 years. I've been dealing with the music side, and I'm also a freelance artist, you know, artist of the fine arts and surrealism, you know, just different types of art, sculpting, painting. I do murals as well. So collectively as an artist, I would say well over 15 years. I've been doing it a little while, bro.
All right, so what do you ultimately want to achieve through your music?
Oh man, I mean, to be honest, I just want people more insight, give people more insight on the type of person I am. You know, as artists, you could be vulnerable at times. And I think that's something that a lot of artists like really fail, you know, putting themselves out there. And to be honest with you, like whether it's through the fine arts, whether it's through the music, I just want people to have the insight on the type of person I am. Hopefully, it could inspire people to continue the culture that we live in, like in terms of art and music, you know.
So you just mentioned vulnerability. Besides that, what other qualities do you think makes a great artist?
Having that substance and wanting to be consistent in being different, as well as I think all great artists think outside the box, abstract, unpredictable. Most of all, like thought-provoking, soulful. These are the things that I would consider like the attributes I consider of a good artist, and not following the trends. You know what I mean? Yeah, originality.
So, give me a description of the ideal studio vibes for you.
Okay, I mean, well, initially, the energy with me and the engineer or producer that's in the studio. Once we have that connection, once we're on that same wave, then you know it's pretty much. Yeah. Anyway, but good studio vibes. Like I say, initially the great energy between the artist and the engineer, you know, producer. Once the energy is there, once the good energy is there, the chemistry is there, I feel like, you know, it breeds productivity. You know what I mean? Certain things are there in terms of libations, you know, but most of all, the most important thing is the energy. Once the energy is right.
All right. So, what do you think is your greatest strength as an artist?
Okay. Well, as a rapper, I think one of my greatest strengths is my freestyle ability. Because that's how I really got into rap, and that's how I really developed my skill over the period of time. On the other side of art, I would say my intricacy. I pay a lot of attention to intricate detail. So I would say that's one of my strong points and determining factor of my style as well. So, yeah.
So, speaking about the fine arts, how did you get your start in the fine arts?
In grade 8, 7 and 8, I was attending Lively School, right? And I had an art teacher there, and I started doing still life drawings. She just kept like pushing me. Her name was Miss Richardson, I'll never forget her. This is like in grade 7 and 8. And there would be some times where I would be recess or lunch. She would pull me in and like, you know, have me doing like extra stuff. And that was when she entered me into a competition at, I think it's Central Bank. Central Bank got a competition. So that was my first exposure to like being out there or putting myself out there in the art community.
So which do you prefer, being a music artist or a fine artist?
Damn it, I mean, that's like having two children and ask which one is your favorite. You know, you know what I mean? So I mean, the challenge in that is just finding the balance to where, dealing with where your mind is at. There's days where I just want to hit the canvas, and then there's days I just want to hit the studio. So the pressure comes from me finding a balance. That's all it is.
So up to this point, how have you been able to find that balance and maintain that balance?
Well, a better structure for studio work. You know what I mean? Laying out concepts and putting concepts together, and instead of just jumping in the studio and recording, you know, it's just putting a lot of, getting that concept development together, tracks together, and then going in there and executing them. So I find I find that once I can balance out the recording aspect, it's easier for me to balance to deal with the art. You know what I mean?
So would you say that the fine arts comes more naturally then?
Yeah, it comes more naturally, and there's more freedom in it. You know what I mean? There's like no boundaries for me in terms of me putting something on paper or painting or, you know, drawing. There's no boundaries. I could be my own, you know? And there's you're a little limited when you're in the studio too, because, you know, certain things you don't want to put out there. And then, you know, but the art is way more of a free world for me than the studio.
Do you feel like you judge less
In terms of what?
when you produce fine art? Because you said you would hold back, like you wouldn't release everything that you record in the studio, but
Yeah.
which I guess you wouldn't necessarily hold back your fine art, right?
Yeah, it is, because I mean, like one track could make you or break you. You know, one track could also show people that, hey, this is the type of person he is, this is the type of things he believes in, you know, but art just has that, you know, has that acceptance from most, you know, without any, you know, interrogating or like asking what it's about or any judgment, you know. You could just be as creative as you want to be, you know, and it's way more accepting than certain genres of music.
So you said you have about 15 years of combined fine arts and music under your belt. Along the journey of 15 years, what are some of the lessons you learned?
Oh man, is to never sell yourself short. In terms of this, in terms of like getting in the industry, whether that's art or music, never sell yourself short. You gotta always be on top of your game as well. And you always gotta work like someone else is supposed to take your spot. But what I've learned the most in this game is that there's only gonna be a certain few that's gonna be there for you when things are bad and things are good. You know what I mean? So that's holding on to the right people. Surround yourself around the right people, you know, along these journeys as an artist.
How do you identify the right people to hold on to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say if a person's there with you, then, you know, you always look at when they're there with you. You always look at when they choose to support you and when they choose to be around. You know, those that are there with you when you have nothing is the epitome of someone who will probably be there with you when you have it all. That's loyalty. You know what I mean? And like I said, basically supporting you when you at your lowest, supporting you at your start, supporting you at the mid, supporting you in the highs, the lows. It's what you and that person experience. You know, you have some people who are there with you when you ain't at shit, babe, and when you going through the lowest, you know, and then there's some people who you thought was gonna be there, and then shit had to finally just vanish. You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's just having a good eye, having that right energy, that right connection. That is a really good question, though, Mario. I ain't gonna lie. I probably could answer that later on. I probably could give a different answer to that, but.
All right, so what's next on year number 16 for Props?
Yeah, number 16. Ah, boy. Getting myself with the. When I say getting myself with the, back to what I said, is covering all angles. social media platforms. I'm going to target to get myself out there. And slowly but surely, I'm going to hit people with the music, because I think that's first and foremost. I think it's a message that I have to deliver. I've had too much years of ongoing, off, on, mishaps, starts, and then what I thought was gonna be good just fizzle out. So I think the music is on the forefront right now, and that's the main agenda for me as an artist to get out there.
So you have any projects coming out? Anything you need to promote?
Well, I'm trying to push for the last quarter of this year. I got a project coming out called The Lonely Road Arcade, and it's not going to have too much tracks in it. I'm still deciding if it's going to be like a EP or LP, but that's the main focus for right now in terms of the music.
Okay, so in an era where so many people consuming so much music, with streaming services, what's the reason that you choose to release a project with not too many tracks on it?
I mean, okay, but in terms of nowadays, in terms of entertainment, people's attention span is really short, babe. So I feel as if, you don't want to lull and overdo your content. You want to saturate it for the right time, so that way, people have no problem reverting back to it and, giving it a good listen again. I always believe in, once you get to the point, execution is on point. You don't have to be there for a while. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why, I feel that way.
All right, and I think this might be my last question, but what is one thing you think, being honest with yourself, one thing that you think you can improve on as an artist?
Exposure. I think putting myself out there more and better marketing and more execution. I have to be more consistent with myself as an artist on both sides. So, yeah, that's something I really got to work on.
All right, so before we sign out, you got anyone you want to shout out?
Shout outs to Film Studios. That's my boy Zayma Sanders. One of the up and coming beat makers, producers, engineers. Dude is fire, bro. His progress is amazing. In the last 2-3 years, his progress is amazing. Shout outs to my homie Tunes Capron. He has been one of my biggest supporters from time. I can't even tell you how long he been supporting me, you know what I mean? Pelago United Farm. Shout out, that's a collect, that's business collect, that's part of the brand. We coming together with a clothing line soon. Shout out to my little bro, Andrew. He been down with the program from the time too. Special shout outs to my nephew, Kai Jones. He's in Texas right now playing ball. Look out for him, just remember the name, and you soon see him walk across that stage for the draft, you know what I mean? Shout outs to my mother. She's been a big driving force, my mom and my dad, you know what I mean? I don't know a couple that's as strong as them, and just been keeping it going for like 50 years. They my main inspiration. Shout outs to my sis as well. It's one of my biggest inspirations too. And shout outs to you, Mario, for coming through, blessing me up. You don't have to do it, taking the time out of your day. Thank you, dog. Appreciate you to the fullest, bro. Keep us up, keep the culture going.
All right, that's your boy Props. I'm Mr. Munnins, aka sorry, let me run that back. That's your boy Props. I'm Mario, aka Mr. Munnins. Stop Rank TV, and we signing out.